One thing I've really noticed in this period of isolation is how much cleaner the air is. And particularly now, recently, when I've moved to the city of Bendigo in southern Australia, really noticing the remnants of the old mining space, the wreckage left behind. Both of these are related to what I would call antiproperty, the counterpart to what we think of as property. Property is mine, it's mine. Antiproperty is everyone else's, it's somebody else's problem. I get what I want, somebody else has to deal with the consequences. It's a really common attitude that's actually built into a large part of our culture. We have the entitlement to not deal with the mess that we create. It's so-called rights. This is a rather interesting point. Now, particularly when I was looking around in the mining area, seeing the sheer scale of the problem and the disparity. Back in the 1850s through to the 1900s, it was considered that 1/3 of an ounce per tonne of quartz, gold per tonne, was considered to be profitable. That's literally 1/1000th of a percent. So the other 99.999% becomes magically somebody else's problem. Now in economics we refer to this as externalities, but it's actually much more than just external. We've externalized the costs. It's quite interesting to look at just how many business models actually depend on having the so-called right to offload responsibility to someone else. As, for example, I drive my car, everyone else has to deal with the pollution that comes from driving my car. It builds up and it doesn't go away. Now, when you have an economics that depends on this, you're ending up eventually with an economics that is going to poison itself into oblivion. It's not sustainable in a finite system. We can't just simply sweep it under the carpet or magically expect nature to deal with all of it when we're overloading the system beyond repair. So we really need to look very closely at what's going on, what anti-property our organisation is producing, and how we're offloading it onto others, and how much it can come back to us. This is particularly important for enterprise architects and business architects, because if our business model is dependent on offloading responsibility to someone else, then what happens when they stop being responsible for our untidiness? What happens when they simply pass the problem back to us? Our business is suddenly no longer sustainable. So for enterprise architects and business architects, it seems like definitely a good idea to start exploring what anti-property our organisation is currently developing, is currently dumping on others. And what are the risks when it starts coming back? What happens to our business models if they cease to be sustainable? What happens if the business model of the whole world proves itself to be unsustainable? This is the kind of thing that's been coming up for me as I've been reflecting on the coronavirus.